I don't know. I heard that flavored tobacco is all illegal now. So I was thinking that might mean pipe tobacco too. But fortunately, I don't live awfully far, about 45 minutes from a native reserve, an Indian reserve. So they make their own rules, so we can go there. And apparently you can get in trouble for going and buying tobacco and gas and stuff from there. But
you're an outlaw.
Yeah, I don't know. Hasn't gotten me in trouble so far. So
yeah. Well, I'm glad your power's back on and you're safe anyway.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm all good. How about yourself? How have you been?
Pretty good. Nothing out of the ordinary or groundbreaking happening here. I mean, the change in the weather here is big news, but we haven't had anything like what you got, so.
Yeah. It's warm there right now?
My wife and I walked earlier. I think it was 70, 71, 72 Fahrenheit. Not like it was last week, that 90, 95.
Where are you located again?
Central Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, near Harrisburg, if you know where that's at.
Yeah, I've been to Harrisburg. I went with my mother and father-in-law and my wife back, must have been in the mid-90s. Just to see it, I guess. Yeah.
It's like I can be from my house to downtown Harrisburg in about 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
But I don't live in the city limits, so.
So is that the closest place for you to go for conveniences and so on?
No, probably the closest would be Mechanicsburg, is what I would say, which is a little close. It's a little closer, but the other direction.
Okay. Did you say Mechanicsburg?
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting name.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of mechanics there?
I'd be willing to bet. There's a lot of everything there. It's pretty big.
Oh, is it? I've never heard of it before.
Yeah. Decent size. I'd say it's decent size. Compared to where I grew up, it's big.
Where did you grow up?
About 2.5 hours west of here. A small town called Williamsburg, Pennsylvania. It's real close to Altoona. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
I have.
Yeah. Altoona, Hollidaysburg, Furring Spring, Martinsburg. They call that area the Cove. It's seated in next to all of that. My high school graduating class had 69 kids in it.
Nice.
Most of those a lot of my friends were dairy farmers. So I spent a lot of time on their farms growing up.
My wife would relate to that. I think she had 17 in her graduating class.
Wow.
She grew up in a dairy farm.
Yeah.
Would be north of your Midwest, Saskatchewan, which is north of North Dakota. About 5 or 6 hours north of North Dakota.
Oh. How'd she get to be over your way? Or did you guys move from that way to your way?
When I was done high school, an old lady had been saving her money to send all of her grandkids for a year of Bible college just to have that experience. But none of them wanted to go. And so she said to me, "Would you like to go? I'll pay for your way." So I went to Bible college. I wasn't planning on it.
Sure.
I think of it as one of those ordained things. God had his sort of hand guiding me, because that kind of led me to choose music ministry as a vocation. And ended up getting my degree there. And my first job in the town, the city where my wife was living at the time, or she was coming to visit someone who lived there. It's kind of a convoluted story, but that's how it connected. So, yeah.
Cool.
So what are you smoking tonight?
I have the first smoke of this. It's the Gallif and Hogarth American Delight that I received from Papa Bear's Nook. I went up a little earlier. I had 4 tins of tobacco that needed to go into mason jars. So, and that was one. Anything with Sam Galleth or Galleth and Hogarth, I don't let in those tins because the tins aren't sealed real good.
Ah.
And they'll dry out.
Is that a bulldog you're smoking?
I would call it a Rhodesian.
Oh, yeah.
It's my Rattrays Distillery. It's like a natural finish copper band on it.
Nice.
Yeah. Pretty reasonably priced pipe, I would say. I think it was like 70 or 80 bucks. 9 millimeter. I smoke all 9 millimeter, or 6, I should say. 6 or 9. All of them. I don't smoke anything that's unfiltered, I'll say that.
Yeah. You find that makes a big difference to tell me more about that. I've never really cared about filtered or unfiltered. So usually if it comes with one of those filters in it after it's dirty, I throw it away and then I smoke unfiltered from there on in. So,
mm-hmm. Well, I started off unfiltered just because I didn't know any better. And I bought a bunch of pipes right off the bat and then found out shortly after that I was having issues with my mouth. I don't know if it's a pH thing.
Oh, I think you may have mentioned this somewhere. I've heard this before, I think. Did you say this in a video, or did we talk about this in that interrupted conversation we had? I don't know. I've heard it somewhere. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Keep going.
No, you're good. Or you might have been Steve smoking cardboard. I think he has the same issues or something similar as well. But yeah, I tried it, and then after I would smoke, like that night into the next day, like the whole inside of my mouth would just get, I don't know, it was like almost blistery, like the skin was irritated, it was sore. And it wasn't like I was like puffing away. I was even being, careful when I was smoking because I was new to it. And I had heard about the dreaded tongue bite. So,
right.
Yeah, so I wouldn't smoke that often. I would smoke a bowl and then I wouldn't smoke another one for a week because, I'd like let my mouth heal up a little bit.
Right.
And at one point I was just like, geez, I'm going to have to just sell everything and not do it. Well, then I started hearing more and more about this charcoal filters. And then I ran across Eddie Gray at the Pipe Nook and started watching his videos. And he was talking about, I can't smoke a pipe unless they're filtered, and I get real bad tongue bite and, irritation and whatnot. So I smoke these charcoal filters, which is like allowing me to smoke. It's night and day difference with my mouth. And I'm like, okay, you sold me. It's worth a try because, if it comes down to, because I was enjoying, the whole pipe hobby, collecting pipes, collecting tobacco, and just the people that's involved in it. And so I ended up buying a 9 millimeter pipe from the Pipe Nook and some Savinelli 9 millimeter charcoal filters. And it was like night and day. I was like, it didn't even, the only way I get it and irritation now is if I smoke like multiple bowls back to back in like a day. Mm-hmm. Like 2 weeks back, I smoked 3 bowls back to back. I was doing a bunch of video chats with a couple different groups. So I was on one, lit up a couple, and then went to another video chat and was smoking more.
Right.
And then the next day I could tell I had pushed it a little bit, but it still wasn't anywhere close to what it used to be. So yeah, they've been a lifesaver to me as far as like being able to smoke. And like a lot of people I hear say, McBaron blends, they bite them. I can't smoke McBaron because it bites me.
Ah.
And some people, even one buddy of mine, calls it McBiting instead of McBaron.
Really?
Yeah. And
wow.
I don't have issues with any McBarons. I don't know if it's because I smoke with a filter or if it takes away whatever that is, but I can smoke anything in any of my pipes, and I don't have an issue with it.
So when you first got onto the pipe hobby, were you smoking cigarettes first? Did they cause you mouth issues, or you weren't smoking them?
No, I never. I can probably count on one hand the number of cigarettes I've tried in my life. I couldn't smoke them. I think I tried one the first time and tried inhaling it, and that was when I was a kid, and it made me sick. I got lightheaded and dizzy and nauseous. I might even have vomited from it. I don't know. I don't remember, but it was enough to make me not want to do it. And then my grandfathers were both cigarette smokers. My dad was a cigarette smoker, and my one grandfather died of lung cancer from cigarettes.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so I had to watch him go through that, and that was enough to make me never put one in my mouth or never want to put one in my mouth. So, and then my dad and my grandfather, they quit cold turkey at the same time. They were both like, we're done. And they just quit.
Because of your grandpa, because of what they saw?
I can't remember if it was close to that time or if it was before that, but I just remember they were just like, yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
They both cold turkey and never touched them again. I may have been because of that. I never really asked, to be honest.
You have to have some pretty amazing self-discipline to be able to just stop cigarette smoking cold turkey, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know lots of friends that are smokers, and I don't envy anybody that's trying to get off of it. I mean, they say it puts the hooks into you, and it's really hard to get off of it. I'm sure it is. I mean, it's probably like, to me, some medications I'm sure you got to get off of that you've been taking for a while. You got to wean yourself off of those, and it can't be a good experience. I can't imagine anyway.
I've interviewed already Doug, Michigan Piper.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming. Is that the one coming out? I can't remember. Have you seen that already? Is it coming out, or did you see it already?
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
I know that I've seen there's an ad for it, or your blog for it, but
one of the things he said is that smoking a cigarette is kind of like getting a hug from the inside out. I thought, oh, that's interesting. I think that was him that said that.
Yeah.
I've never tried them. Never even once.
Yeah. I mean,
I've had a few cigars. I've probably had a dozen or 24 cigars.
Yeah.
Don't really like them.
I'm more of a cigar fan than I am cigarettes. Well, just because I had an uncle who was a big cigar smoker growing up, so I've always had a fascination. But I knew early on, because he would tell me, you don't inhale it. You don't inhale it. You just puff on it. You just take it in your mouth and blow it right back out. So, yeah, I enjoy cigars quite a bit. I've been away from them for quite a while. Every so often, me and my buddies will go to a cigar lounge over not far from here. They'll get together and just be like, hey, we're going for a cigar. You want to go? And I'm just like, sure, I'll go have one.
Nice.
We go shoot the bull.
This is like one of those places where you can go in and order a drink and smoke a cigar right inside.
This one has no alcohol in it, but you can bring your own alcohol.
Okay.
So if you want to bring a bottle of wine or whiskey, there's a pool table there, big high-backed leather sofa and leather chairs. And
I love those places. When I lived in New Jersey, there was a place like that. It was JR's or something like that.
JR Cigar?
Maybe, yeah. You've heard of that?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have anything like that in Canada. I don't think they're legal.
I could see that.
We've got too many laws here.
Yeah, I seen your new tin packaging for your pipe tobacco. Everything's green.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I know. Don't understand why they're being like that, but I do understand it. This is what I've argued with some people before about when it becomes a social responsibility to provide health care to everyone in society, then when somebody in society is doing something detrimental to their health, that costs me money.
Yeah.
I think it's an easy solution. Let people do whatever they want. But if they're getting lung cancer because they smoked all their lives, guess what? The bill is on them.
Right.
Or if they get it because their wife smoked or their husband smoked, well, that's different. But I don't know. It's the one size fits all problem.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you what, the 2 weeks that I spent in Canada some years back, I've never run into as many cigarette smokers as I have when I was in Canada.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was like, everyone I ran into was smoking cigarettes, and they were the Canada brand with the wider packs, whatever the brands are.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, but it was amazing to me. Like, I'm like, geez, does everybody smoke up here? And
maybe that's why they're a little more heavy-handed, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know either. But I don't know. Well, I guess you don't know if you don't know cigarettes. I don't know if they're doing plain packaging on cigarettes too, or is it just flavored tobacco, like pipe tobacco or something?
I don't know. I heard that flavored tobacco is all illegal now. So I was thinking that might mean pipe tobacco too. But fortunately, I don't live awfully far, about 45 minutes from a native reserve, an Indian reserve. So they make their own rules, so we can go there. And apparently you can get in trouble for going and buying tobacco and gas and stuff from there. But
you're an outlaw.
Yeah, I don't know. Hasn't gotten me in trouble so far. So
yeah,
leave that in God's hands.
Well, you can just say you don't know. I mean, you can just say, "Hey, I didn't know any better. I just thought you could go here."
Everybody else does.
Yeah, I was just following suit with everybody else.
Except I have heard it sort of as rumors, and the ignorance of the law is no defense. I remember learning that back in high school. So
sure.
Anyway, so I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You have taken time off your job, and you've got all this free time. How did that come to be? And if it's not my business, then just say it's none of your business. But I'm just.
I don't care. I'll tell anybody anything. It's my life. I'm good with every decision I make in it. I used to be a self-proclaimed people pleaser by nature, and I'm not that way anymore. I've learned that over the years you can be nice to people, and there's people that'll take advantage of you and tell you how you should live your life.
Right.
And, this is wrong or that's wrong. And why aren't you doing this? But anymore, I mean, at my age, it goes in one side, out the other. It's my life, my rules. I'm going to run it how I see fit. So, but I mean, basically what it was is just, I was working at my last job. Well, we knew it was like end of 2019, he was hearing rumors of coronavirus and all that stuff, pandemic, it was making its way to the United States. And then in March, when it started to finally, dig its heels in here, the job that I was working at, my wife didn't feel that they were taking the necessary precautions. They were just like, it's a cold, just get it, just get it and get it over with, get it and have it and deal with it for a couple weeks and you'll be fine, don't even sweat it. And then, so she was like, at that point they had told her, my wife, to work from home. So she quit working in the office. They did her, all work from home. And our life, we have things set up in such a way that we don't have many bills. I mean, we pay everything off. We pay everything cash. Our vehicles are paid off. We don't try not to carry balances on anything.
Right.
And we don't have children either. So that, a lot of people have added expense with that.
Yeah.
So she just said, it's not like we need the income, just stay home and don't deal with it. We'll just ride this out at the house. And I said, all right. So, and my boss, even though he's that way, I just I called him up and said, look, I'm going to ride this out at the house. I'm going to take a sabbatical if you're cool with it. And I'll come back whenever, I want to. If you'll have me back, and if you don't, you want to hire somebody to replace me, go for it.
Right.
He said, yeah, that's fine. Wasn't upset about it. He said, I understand. So, and I still talk to him. I connect with him every once in a while just to see how he's doing, see how the business is doing and whatnot. And once in a while I'll be like, well, you want to come back yet? Nah, not yet. But, and the other thing is too, I look at it like this. I've been working since I was probably 10 years old.
Right.
And that was mowing grass, mowing my neighbors' yards, passing newspapers. I had an income early because my parents, we were lower middle class, I think my mom told me my dad made, and my mom didn't work. I think my dad made $17,000 a year and was supporting 2 kids and him and my mom on that.
Right.
So, I was doing because if I wanted anything, I had to work for it. If I wanted a new bicycle, or if I wanted a skateboard, or if I wanted anything, I had to work to pay for it. School every year, I got a new pair of shoes. They weren't, nice ones, not Reeboks and Nikes. And, I got a pair of shoes, 2 new pairs of jeans, and like 3 T-shirts. That was what I got, and that had to last me the whole year.
Yeah.
And so if I wanted something nice, say, if my buddies all had nice new Reeboks or nice new high top Nike shoes, well, then I had to spend my, find some more yards to mow, or, go work at my buddy's friend's farm, picking rocks or whatever. So anyhow, I look at it this way. So if I was working from early age until now I'm 50, that's like working for 40 years solid. I mean, there was a few breaks in there, like between switching jobs and stuff like that, but nothing like it is now. So if working for 40 years straight, I looked at it like this. I deserve a little bit of a break, a sabbatical, a little bit, call it like an early retirement. I'm not sure if I'm going to, I'm sure I'll go back to work. I'm able-bodied and, I'm still a fit person. I'm still able to go to work. So I just don't know when it is that I'm going to go back yet. I'm still waiting to see if the world's going to pull its head out of its rear end first, You're
not getting bored or finding you don't have things to do with your time, or?
Oh, I get bored. It's just, I've never been someone that needs a bunch of stuff to do. I don't need to go run around. I don't need to go to stores and go to restaurants and stuff like that. For me, YouTube videos, movies, music, those are the things that, because growing up, I had friends, but I also didn't have a lot of friends. I spent a lot of time, on my own in my room.
Sounds like
yeah. I wasn't popular in school, so I didn't, have people ask me to do stuff all the time. I had friends, but it wasn't like, I had tons of friends. So I've always been good just being on my own. I love to sleep. I love to nap. I stay up late watching movies till the wee hours of the morning. I sleep in late.
Has your wife gone back to work yet?
No, she still works from home. Her office is still shut down.
What does she do? Is she in medical field or?
No, she's in social work. She works for the University of Pittsburgh.
Okay, cool.
She's I don't know. She's a supervisor of something. I don't know what you'd call it. She's got people that work underneath her that report to her. So yeah. But she's been in child welfare field for about like 25 years. She's dealt with child welfare. So it stems from that. But yeah, she's working all from home, and I think her job at this point has made her like 95 or 98% work from home. They just said, I don't know if they must have seen, hey, we're saving a ton of money by letting these people just work from home, spending electricity and heat. And
I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I bet. And not only that, but I think people are less efficient when they're at work. There's more gabbing going on. And, when you're at home and there's no distractions, you sit down, you get your work done. Maybe you're aiming to be able to be done an hour early.
Sure.
Nobody looking over your shoulder. You can do that at home. At work, you can't. And so you drag your feet, waste time. I don't know. I think it makes a lot more sense.
It does. I will definitely say, because we used to carpool to work when she and I went both to work. I would get in the car, take her to work, drop her off, leave her work. And my work was about 15 minutes away. Go to work. I would get off at 4:30, drive back, pick her up, and then we'd come home, and then she was done for the day. Well, I catch her now. Some mornings she's up at 3:30 a.m. already on the computer working.
Sounds like my wife.
Yeah, and then sometimes she's there till 8 o'clock at night, depending on what kind of day she has. So I can guarantee you, they're definitely getting more work out of her by keeping her here. But,
now, how many barbers are at the place you were working that you don't anymore? Was it just you and the boss, or?
No, well, actually, the last job I worked at, it wasn't even barbering. I left barbering. Oh. Yeah. I've had a ton of jobs. I couldn't even sit here and list them all off. I'm one of those people that gets bored very easily. I'll do something for a while. And then if I get bored or if I get upset and mad, pissed off, I'll just put in a week, 2 weeks notice and leave and go find something else.
Right.
The last shop I worked in, I worked at right before my last job. I worked there about a year and a half, maybe. And there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 barbers.
Okay.
So it was a decent sized shop.
Big place.
It was pretty decent. I mean, it was humping. I think the most cuts I did in a day was 18.
Wow.
I think haircuts in a day. And that was real close to Christmas time when everybody would come in and, they want to look good for their Christmas pictures. We got to go get our haircut. Bring the kids. Let's go.
Yeah.
But
I missed when I lived in a bigger city. I missed being able to go to the barber. There's no barbers around here. You just go to a local salon and.
Yeah. My dad was a barber, and he worked in a shop right out of barber school, and then he got drafted for Vietnam and left and went to the Navy for 4 years in Vietnam. And then when he came back, he didn't pursue it. He cut, mine and my sister's hair and my grandfather's and uncles and whoever called him up. He would just, go to their house and cut them in the kitchen, that kind of thing.
Love it.
Yeah. So I've always had a barber. I never liked going to a salon. I never got the same, I don't know what you call it, treatment. I like the barbershop treatment. I love getting my neck straight razor shaved. That's for me, that's like the cherry on top of the sundae for me.
Yeah. The barber that I used to go to most recently, he was an old guy. He must have been 80. And it was so neat. It kind of felt like going back in time, just the way they did things, Yeah. I like barbers.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoy it. I enjoyed barber school. I mean, it was trying at times. I mean,
oh yeah.
If you're dealing with people's personalities, sometimes you got to know when to hold and when to fold them, kind of thing. When to fight the fight and when to just give in, that kind of thing. But I learned a lot. Straight razor shave on the face. I've straight razor shaved men's heads, bald.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one guy used to come in all the time. He's, "You ready to give me a head shave?" Yep. Sit down. He had smooth, buttery skin. He had the head for shaving. I'll say that. His no lumps, real thick skin. it was a joy to do his, but there were some other ones that would come in. You're like, ooh, I don't know, I want to do this, but
how do you not nick people? It's just a bare blade.
You got to stretch the skin for one.
Okay.
You always got to, stretch the skin and keep that blade on a certain angle. Mm. And as long as you have the skin stretched and you don't let that skin roll up in front of the blade, that's when you get in trouble. Mm. Get your thumb on there and just start stretching. Pull, stretch.
Wow.
You'd be surprised.
I stretch a little bit with my safety razors. I stretch just my hair to stand up more,
It's the same concept. Yeah. That and just making sure that you have a nice sharp razor every time, which you do because you don't want to reuse when you're dealing with the public. You never want to reuse a razor. So most times guys that are doing it for the public, you'll get a replaceable blade razor so you can replace it each time, because, disease and stuff like that. That's top priority.
How common is that? I wouldn't think you'd get a lot of disease from a steel blade. You're rinsing it off in alcohol, and that would kill any bacteria. I'm surprised that that's even a thing.
Yeah, there's still ways of it getting, you gotta, that's why there's the Board of Health that comes in and checks barber shops. You got to clean your combs. You got to, just sanitize them and then deep clean them. Like if I was going to a barber now, I would have to see his setup before I'd let him cut my hair. I wouldn't just walk into any of them because, ringworm, that's something that can go just from comb to comb, if they're not cleaning their combs and brushes. Clippers, you got to use, a clipper side, like it's a spray that, this stuff will kill anything. It'll kill AIDS, HIV, and all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, they're supposed to be between each haircut, spraying all those with the clipper blades down, dipping the comb should be in barber salt in between cuts. They're supposed to be changed razor blades.
So I suppose some of that stuff got even more high. What's the word I'm looking for? The rules probably got even more strict because of COVID. Is that part of the reason you want? Oh no, because you weren't a barber when you stepped down.
No.
What were you doing?
I was working at it's a family-run heavy-duty truck parts business for like tractor and trailers. I had worked there previously for like 3 or 4 years, and the boss and I got in a fight. Verbally. I didn't see eye to eye one day, and we got mouth each other, and we were just being rude to each other, and I gave him the one finger salute, called him a few choice words and walked off.
You're kidding. Now this is the kind of thing that we all want to do to our bosses, even those that work for churches. Yeah. But you did it. And it sounds like you've done it multiple times.
Yeah, that's what and that's the thing. It sounds mean or corny, I guess. Maybe some people probably shake their head, but like, I've always given everyone a fair shot when I've taken a job. I show up for work on time. I don't miss days of work. I just want to be treated fairly. Like, right. If I start to feel like I'm being treated wrong, or there's people that are smoking 15, 20 cigarettes a day and taking 10, 15-minute breaks, and I'm working nonstop to try and get orders filled. Right. I'm looking outside, and they're just out there. And, I'm like, how come so-and-so can stand out there and take 10 smoke breaks a day, and they don't have to worry about filling orders, and I'm in here, when they're bringing me stuff to do because they know I'll do it.
Yeah.
And they're not, well, I can't give it to so-and-so. He's too busy smoking. And here, Randy, go get this and take care of it.
It sounds like a union job.
Yeah. Well, these were non-union, but so yeah, I've always kept myself, and I was, like I said before, we were in a financial spot where, I would say, look, I don't need this job. I'm doing this because I'm enjoying it. And when I stop enjoying it, I'm going to leave. And
right.
I told him, this guy that I left, I told him that when he hired me. I said, look, the money's nice, but I don't need this job to live. And if I feel like I'm getting mistreated, I'm done. Okay, yeah, that's fine. We'll treat you good here, but they say that stuff, and
yeah, exactly.
I'll never forget. It was one summer when I was in high school. I was picking rocks at my buddy Brian's farm summer, and it was one of those summer days where it was just hot, humid. And I remember we came back to the house, and his older sister's boyfriend was there, and we were just drenched, dirty, and he had a 6-pack or a case of Bush beer, cold beers, and I remember him saying, "You guys want one of these?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I remember cracking that beer, and that was probably maybe one of the first couple beers I've ever had in my life. I'm sure of it, but that was the best tasting beer I have ever had, I think, in my life. I mean, I will never forget that moment. It just hit the spot. So refreshing. I just remember thinking, oh, so delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had a few moments like that where I just thought, this is the perfect moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I'm actually more of a fan. I've become more of a fan of red wine than I am of beer now. I guess, is that a sign of age? I don't know.
I couldn't tell you.
I like craft beers. We have a lot of craft breweries around the area. Is that a thing that's popular in Pennsylvania? I think it's everywhere now, right?
It is pretty much everywhere, yeah. I mean, we have around here, I think there's even craft, if it's called craft, distilleries that are popping up.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like little craft breweries and just, Oh, you mean distilleries for whiskey?
Yeah, like all different, hard liquors, you go in there and get...
I've seen some of that too.
Yeah. There was, what is it? Not early 2000s. There was a time where I was into that, like, I got to get the IPA. We got to get this IPA. We got to try this IPA, or, bouncing around to different places that, we got to try the newest thing. And I'm not that way anymore. I couldn't even tell you the last time I drank an IPA or a real hoppy beer. There's a couple, I like Guinness.
Me too.
Yeah, that's a nice dark beer. I like that. I like Line and Kugel Summer Shandy in the summertime.
Haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's brewed near Steve Smoking Cardboard's house. That's what he told me.
Oh, wow.
Or somewhere not far from him. But that's a really good one. It's got like a lemon flavor to it.
Nice.
I really enjoy that one in the summertime. And then, the old, just, the stuff my grandparents used to drink and my dad used to drink. I have no issues with drinking those, Pabst Blue Ribbon, Old German, I'll drink Busch, Budweiser. I'm not a fan of Miller or Miller Lite or Bud Light. Those all seem to give me headaches when I drink them, so I try to stay away from those. But
you get Labatt's down there, or Canadian, or any of those other?
You can get it, but I think it's less alcohol than what you guys have.
Oh, sort of watered down version.
Yeah. That's one thing
I've noticed about American beers is that's kind of like drinking water.
Yep. That's when I came to visit for those 2 weeks and I got taken around to different bars up there. I found out real quick that I couldn't drink a 6-pack of Canadian beer and still function.
I wonder, you just get used to it maybe, or I wonder why.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, when you're used to drinking, American beer and you go up there and it's, the percentage of alcohol's more.
Yeah.
You don't even think about it. But yeah, Canadian beer's good. I love Labatt's Blue, and I think Moosehead. I've had some Moosehead.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what were you in Canada for?
That was for job training for one of my jobs when I was working in the wood veneer industry. I came up. I was working out in Beaver County at a place called Interforest Corporation, and I was running a whole half of the factory. I was running half of the one department. They called it the face department. It was making 4x8 sheets of wood veneer.
Okay.
For furniture industry. And which I had worked at a place previously, but local, and they were advertising they were looking for a supervisor for their factory. So I applied for it and got the job. And they basically wanted to take me to Canada to their main facility to show us, like, this is how we want you to do things, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, come up here for 2 weeks. We'll oversee how we do things and then take that back to Pennsylvania and try to implement that there.
Right.
And so I was up there for, they're in, what was it? Durham, Ontario.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I stayed up the road in Hanover.
Okay. I've heard of Hanover. I'm not just sure where it is, but.
Yeah, I think it's Hanover. I think it was. I don't know. But yeah, it was wood veneer, and that was a trip trying to get through the border.
Really? Did they give you a hard time at the border?
Yeah, they did. They searched my car.
Really?
Yep.
Why did that?
My boss was in front of me in his car, and he got right through. Of course, he's Canadian. Well, he's actually Hungarian, but lived in Canada most of his life. And yeah, he made it through, and I got up there and the guy was like, "Where are you headed?" And I'm like, Durham, Ontario. "How long are you staying?" 2 weeks. And my boss told me, he said, "Don't tell them you're working or it's for work, or they're gonna, they won't let you through." And I said, "Oh, I'm going to see a friend," which I was friends with one of the guys that worked up there because he would come to Pennsylvania and help us out. His name was Steve. So I'm like, well, I'm going to see my buddy Steve that lives up here, and this and that. And then apparently I must have not gave him the right answers in the right amount of time, because he's like, "Pull your car over to there and shut it off." And I'm like, which I had nothing to hide. I had a suitcase full of clothes. So I was like, whatever. So I pulled it over. While I was waiting, I popped the hood, popped the trunk, opened everything in the car, opened my suitcase, left everything, and just stood out there. The guy come over, popped his head in, and seen that I had everything open. He's like, "You're good, just go." I'm like, "What?"
How long did it take?
Like 5 minutes.
Oh, it wasn't long.
No. I think, I don't know if he thought I was up to no good. And then when I went over there and had everything open, like I wasn't trying to hide anything, I'm like, here it is. Dig away. You're not going to find anything. So
when we were going back from New Jersey, we were moving back to this area. We had the same car the whole time we were in New Jersey. And we bought it in Canada, drove down there, lived down there, and came back with the car. Well, for some reason, they felt like our car, we were trying to import it illegally without claiming it. It was an old car. I don't understand. And it was late at night. And so they had to, the people who know about car serial numbers, the car was made in Texas or someplace. But that's common, right? Like we'll make cars in Canada and sell them to the U.S., and you guys make cars in the States and sell them to us. I don't know why, but that's like done. So the car had the wrong ID. It was made in the States, and so they thought I was trying to sneak it in. So we ended up being hours at the border just waiting for this kid to come and look at the serial number and say, "You're good." I was like, "Really? All of that for that?"
Yeah.
And they wanted to bill a sale. This was a car. This was a 1989 Topaz. What was it? The year was 1999. So it was already like 11 years old or something.
Sure.
Or it was an 87, actually. It was an 87 Topaz. So crazy. Anyway, yeah. I wish we could just get rid of the border. What's the big deal?
Yeah, I don't see I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know, drug standpoint, maybe. I don't really understand anymore.
In weapons, we don't really have the same amount of guns and stuff. We don't have all the murders and stuff you guys.
No. Well, that's the other thing. When I went to Canada, I realized no one locks their door up there.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, they shut the front door, never lock it. And we were that way growing up where I grew up. I mean, we never locked our house or our cars growing up, but yeah, we definitely don't do that now. I mean, I make sure my cars are locked, my doors are locked, and dead bolted. I have my 357 loaded with rounds in it.
You have it loaded?
Sure, yeah.
Wow. I don't think you're even allowed to do that here. If you have a gun in the house, it's in one cabinet, and the ammunition is in another cabinet, and they're both locked.
Oh, yeah. No, not here. I think you'll find, yeah. Yeah, I have that in a 12 gauge and shotgun, but I don't keep it loaded just because it's a little more clumsy,
right,
to move around. But yeah, I keep my 357 loaded and ready to go. I mean, if you're going to have a
break-ins where you live, is this a common thing?
We get cars broken into. Matter of fact, I was just talking to my neighbor 2 days ago. Lives right across the street. He has 2 Harleys. And I said, "Hey, how you doing?" "Not too good." I said, "Oh, what's the matter?" "Oh, my Harley got broke into." He has one with the saddlebags on it, hard bags. He said, "Someone broke into my Harleys and stole a bunch of stuff out of my saddlebags." And I said, "Do you have any idea?" "I have an idea about where they came from, but I can't prove anything." And
yeah,
and he's a he's an ex-military guy with I don't know what you're going to call it. He doesn't mess around kind of attitude. Like, so if he ever catches someone doing that, they better look out. And I know for a fact he carries on himself loaded. So
wow.
They better, yeah. So it's, but yeah, I mean, our cars are I live in a development. Some of the cars get broken into. We've had gas stolen.
Wow.
And that's one of the things, like, for me, being that I'm a night owl, I'm up all hours of the night. I'm always looking out the windows. If I hear noises,
yeah,
I'm always looking around. It's weird here. I mean, you see people doing strange things. Guys, they're just strange people. They'll drive into the neighborhood, get out of their car. They're walking around with their cell phones, like looking at each house, pointing their cell phones at the houses.
Really?
Yeah, this weird stuff. I don't know if they're looking for Wi-Fi signals. Or,
maybe they're playing Pokemon Go.
Well, that could be too. I don't know. Maybe.
We have that coming up and down our street because we have a church on this street. So I guess where there are like libraries and churches and schools, there's a place where a lot of Pokemon gather, and so people come up and down the street with their phones and they're trying to catch these Pokemon. I'm like, "Are you playing Pokemon Go?" "Yeah." "Okay."
Yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah. I never thought about that. Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know.
It seems funny for adults. But.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's, if it was kids or, younger people, I'd think, but it's just, sometimes you just see what I would consider strange things happening here. Yeah. So yeah, I don't trust anybody, especially if I don't know them. I don't know what, if they're going to hang around my house, with their cell phone out, I'm going to ask them what they're doing or what they're up to.
Yeah, well, it's probably smart anyway.
Yeah.
So how did you and your wife meet?
The internet.
Really? Cool. Tell us the story.
It's a pretty funny one. Yeah, I was married previously. I've been in 3 long relationships. First one was 10 years. The second one was 9 years. I was married to her, the second one, for 9. And then we just grew apart. We weren't, I wouldn't say we weren't a good fit for each other. She had more of a type A personality, and, it didn't suit me.
You're too laid back for that.
Yeah, exactly. And, so that, that ended. I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And we ended it on applicable terms. There's no hard feelings there. She's with who she wants to be with, and I'm with who I want to be with. We didn't make a mess out of it.
And there were no kids to kind of make it.
No kids, right. So, I left with a nice chunk of money in my bank account. She kept, the house, the car,
right,
a four-wheeler and everything. I said, tell me what you want. She said, I would like to have all this. Fine. I said, I'll take the old car, the new TV, and my clothes.
Huh.
And she said, that works for me. So, and then.
Did you get the bum end of the deal there?
I don't think so. I mean, I wanted what I needed at the time. And, when we split, we had, our finances, we took everything, put it together and split it even down the middle.
Right.
I left with a nice chunk of change. She kept a nice chunk of change. There was no, I'm taking you for money and you're going to pay me this. And, none of that. It's just, she wanted done. I wanted done. That was it.
That was fortunate because that doesn't happen very often, I don't think.
Sure. Yeah. I feel lucky. I mean, it ended pretty good. So then, I dated a few girls then after her, which didn't work out. And then, so I was curious about the whole online dating thing. I'm like, I'll give it a shot. And then I wanted to date someone that I did not know or no one I knew who that was, because where I grew up, everyone knows everybody's business in a small town. And it was just like this thing, like these two people would get together and they would split up and then they would flip flop and these two would be together. Like,
right.
And I'm just like, I'm not doing that. I don't want to be with anybody from my town. I don't want to be with anyone that anyone knows. I want to meet someone new that's not from around here. I don't want to know anything about them. So I said in there, I wanted to meet a girl that's minimum of 100 miles away.
Oh.
So that's what I did. And I started, the search. I think it was an app through Facebook called Zoosk, Zoosk.
Okay.
Which I don't even know if that's still around anymore. But so yeah, it's like saying that, the same thing. You see pictures of someone, you're like, oh, she's pretty, or she looks cute, and you send them a wink is what it was. Like you wink at them. I seen a picture. There was a couple girls that I was talking to, but nothing. It was all kind of this. They just wanted to text. That was it. They didn't want to go any further than that. Like, let's just text a while. And I'm like, at that point, I was like 39. I'm like, I'm not texting, and that's not my jam. You know what I mean? I want to date somebody.
Yeah.
So I winked at my wife, and not long after, she winked back to me, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. So I sent her a message. She sent me a message. We talked. And it just so happened she wasn't too far away from where I was at the time. She was doing something for work that was about an hour away. But they were ending that, and she was heading back home. And I'm like, let's go on a date. Can I come meet you and I'll take you out on a date? And she's like, okay, when? And I'm like, how about this weekend? She's like, okay, well, I'm just getting home, but, give me some time to get things situated and whatnot. So it was a Saturday. I got up, got showered, went and grabbed some roses, and drove about 2.5 hours in the morning and got here right around noon, 1 o'clock. Knocked on her door, gave her the flowers, and introduced myself. And she gave me a hug, and we went to a place that's over by Harrisburg. It's called City Island. It's where the Harrisburg Senators play. It's an island. It's in the middle of the Susquehanna River.
Oh, cool.
And we walked around the track and just, asking questions and answering questions and getting to know each other. And then that did that for a while, and then we got hungry, and then we went to a restaurant and had some food and had a beer and caught up some more. And then left there, came back here to the house, sat on the couch over here, talked some more, got to know each other, and really enjoyed each other's company. And I said, okay, it was getting late when I had to get up the next morning because I had gave my sister a gift of a cruise, and I wanted. So it was me and my sister. The next day, we were leaving from Baltimore on a cruise to go. I think we went. I don't know where it was, somewhere in Florida, and then a couple of islands in the Bahamas. So I said, yeah, I got to go. I'm going to go on this cruise. I got to take my sister on this cruise tomorrow. So, and the whole time I was on the cruise, I was thinking about Jean, my wife, I'm like, man, I'd really liked her and I want this to work out. So I was, every chance on the cruise, I got a chance. I was texting her to see how she was doing and whatnot. So spent the week with my sister. We had a good time on the cruise, and then we came back, and then the whole time we got to my sister's car at the port, and I'm like, let's go, we got to go. And I went home, and I was living at my sister's at the time because when I moved out of my ex-wife's place, I didn't have anywhere to go. My sister's like, move in with us. We got all this room.
Wow.
Come stay here. You know, give me $50 a month to cover water for, washing clothes and stuff like that, So, and I was like, all right, whatever. So I was left there. We got home. And as soon as I got home, I texted Jean and I was like, can I come see you? And she's like, yeah. Well, I threw a bunch of clothes in my bag, drove another 2.5 hours that night.
Wow.
I got here and
you had it back, man.
Yeah, I never left after that.
Oh, wow. You moved right in with her.
Yeah, pretty much. I left. I stayed that night, overnight. She went to work the next day I was in between jobs at that point. I was laid off at a factory that I was working at. And then, of course, I knew if things worked out here, I was going to have to find a job here anyway. So I was like, so she went to work. I stayed here. And she said, I remember her saying, I felt a little uneasy, like leaving you in my house, being that I only met you once and only known you a week total. And she said, I had these visions of you going through my drawers. And I said, no, I wouldn't do that. And I didn't. I didn't do anything. I just slept in late, got up, and just basically waited downstairs till she got home from work. But yeah, I never left.
Wow.
We've been together ever since. I had to go buy clothes down here for a while, and until I made a trip back home. And I didn't have much because I had my clothes and my TV, and that was basically it. I could, a car's worth of stuff. So I drove home, grabbed that stuff, and came back, and I was moved in.
What did your sister think? How did your family react?
They know I'm impulsive like that, and they met her and they love her. They always have. They still do. They were happy for me. They're basically, if I'm happy, they're happy with me. You know what I mean? It wasn't like weird to them. They knew how I operate.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we've been together almost 11 years total. We dated for 2 years and then got married. So, and
nice.
She's the one I'm going to the grave with. Nice.
That's awesome.
So that's the long, short story.
Yeah, that's great. It's nice to get to know some of the details about people, when you just see people, oh man, those birds. Do you have, I'm sure you do. What are they called? Starlings. I hate starlings. Do you have starlings? You have starlings there, right?
Yeah, we get them.
Oh, they're living in my roof right now. They pull wood off so they can get in. And this weekend, I'm tearing my roof off of my porch and putting a new roof on, fixing up a lot of so it's old. The house is 100 years old, so there's stuff that needs to be redone. And bit by bit, I'm trying to do it. I just see right now a starling going in behind the eaves trough there. Yeah.
Are they the ones, too, that build with mud, that make the little mud things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're often known for building the nests in chimneys, and then you got you're wondering why your smoke is coming in the house instead of out.
Yeah, exactly. That's
when I was a kid, my friend's dad used to pay him. I think it was $0.25 for every starling he shot. He had this sort of wood house, this area where they stored firewood, and he would get in there and have a little hole in the window, and he'd just bing with his pellet gun and just be shooting starlings all day.
Sure. Yeah.
Kind of cool.
I had friends. My one friend, Doug, his pap used to. He'd give us shotgun shells to go into the barn, and we would shoot pigeons. He'd be like, kill as many pigeons as you could, because
shotguns.
Yeah.
Ah, it wouldn't blow right through the barn.
No, well, not inside the barn.
Oh.
Usually, I would go in, or we'd take turns going in with rocks. We would go in because there was at either end of the eaves or at the peaks of the barn, there was holes, and that's where the pigeons would go in and out.
Right.
So someone would go inside and throw rocks up there, and then they would fly out the holes, and then whoever was outside got the,
Fine.
shooting.
When I was a kid, my dad kept pigeons. He had about 20 or 30 pigeons in a big cage, like in a big sort of room in the barn, and they had a cage outdoor, like outside, that they could go out through into the cage. And they would get used to, he'd capture them. He was a plumber, and so he'd go into the city and be in someone's attic, and there'd be pigeons up there. He'd grab them and bring them home, get them acclimated to our house in the country here. And then he had these carriers that he'd take them out long way away, put little bands on their feet, and then race them home and stuff. It was fun. I used to like playing with the pigeons as a kid. We'd pretend we were remote controlling them, right? We'd throw a handful of gravel at the cage, and they'd all go flying, and we'd pretend we're like remote controlling these birds around. The things kids did back then before video games.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure some people would be horrified if they heard that. How could you kill those pigeons? Well, I don't know. It's, farm life is different from city life. I'll tell you that.
For sure.
There's a lot of things that happen on farms that probably a lot of people wouldn't understand or.
Yep. That's exactly right. Like my father-in-law shooting cats.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he said, I've got enough cats. Why do you need so many cats here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen some. There's a limit to the stuff that I would take part in and do when it comes to animals. I mean, there's pests and humane ways of doing things, and then I've seen also inhumane ways of doing things at farms that I don't necessarily agree with as an animal lover per se.
I think a bullet, if it's aimed at the back of the skull and the animal doesn't know what's coming, that's probably the most humane way. We put our dog down about a year ago now, and it was supposed to be humane, but our dog didn't really want to die. He was old. He was a Bichon Frise. He was almost 17, so they only live to be about 14 normally. He was 16 and a half. And it was hard to see him struggling, wanting to live. And in some ways, I think it would have been a lot quicker and easier for him if it was just been a bullet. But my children and my wife would have had a harder time with that, I think.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we had a dog as children, and I just found this out like last year. My dad finally fessed up to it. We had a German police or a German Shepherd when I was growing up, and his name was Moochie. Moochie, yeah. And one day I went out the back door to go up to see Moochie at his box, and the chain was there, the box was there, but Moochie was gone. And I'm like, what happened to Moochie? And my dad was like, he got off the leash and ran away. And I'm like, we got to find him. He's long gone. We're never going to find him. I was like, okay. So, I'm heartbroken for, a week because my dog's not there any longer. And I'm like, so I come to find out like a year ago, my dad finally, I was like, Moochie, somehow we were talking about dogs and stuff. And he's like, I said, yeah, Moochie running away. He goes, got this smile on his face. He's like, Moochie didn't run away. And I'm like, what? He said, he tried nipping at you or your sister, or tried to bite you, and I wasn't having that. And I'm like, really? He said, yeah. I said, so I took him off the chain, took him in the car, and went out to Uncle Ern's farm. And
yeah,
he's buried somewhere out there in the field. I'm like, okay.
At least you were an adult when you heard it, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up on an hour, so I guess we should probably wrap things up.
Sure.
Thanks for doing this with me.
Absolutely.
Good to get to know you and chat with you a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
I hope that you're okay with us doing this again at some point. Like I'd like to do these regularly, once I cycle through 20 or 30 guys and just start again.
I'm down whenever you are. All you got to do is give me a heads up. I mean, I don't know what I'll be doing at the time, but I'll definitely make a gap in time to do one if you want to do one again.
Awesome. Well, you have a nice weekend. It's coming.
I will.
Today, I can't believe it's already Wednesday. It's going to be Thursday tomorrow. I guess because Monday's a holiday there too, right?
Yes.
What's it called in the States?
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day. Right.
Yep.
Queen Victoria's birthday here.
Oh, is it? Yeah, we're looking forward to it. My wife's been off. She took Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off this week to go camping, but it ended up her kid got sick and she couldn't go, so she got a little bummed out about that. But the weather wasn't perfect really for camping here. Anyway, we had some rain and some stuff going on, so she's just been taking it easy around the house. And I said, well, that's nice. You get 2 days of work, 3 days off, 2 days of work, and then you got another 3 days off, so we'll get to hang out some more, and so it'll be nice.
Cool. All right, well, I'll talk to you again soon.
All right, I'll be looking forward to it. Have a good night.
Same, brother. See you later.
See ya.